Are you an HCG diet addict? Then don't watch today's show because it's just going to piss you off. Still here? Well, alrighty then, let's get to it. Now, you don't want to be watching this if you're one of those people who are addicted to buying the cheapest HCG, regardless of its potency. You're always bargain hunting for the really cheap stuff. You're addicted to dieting in general, or you're using HCG as kind of a social thing to do. You have something to talk about with your other diet addict friends. Or you're managing your weight by going on the HCG diet several times a year. See, addicted to dieting. You know what we call people like that? We call them yo-yos. Because they're following some weird-ass protocol or on homeopathic HCG, so they never stabilize, their hypothalamus never resets, and neither does their metabolism. So you've been warned, okay? There are several things I'm going to reveal today that I've never said anywhere else unless you're an Inner Circle member. So here goes. Look, for your HCG diet journey, whenever you have a choice, HCG shots, drops, or troches, here's a guideline developed over coaching hundreds, one-on-one, and thousands more online. In order of effectiveness, here are the 3 ways to take your HCG. Number 1, shots. Number 2, troches. And number 3, drops. Now, shots are best if you can bring yourself to do it. Now, not everyone can, or rather, not everyone's willing to do that. I know. You may think you can't do something, and the truth is, often, you just simply won't. There's a huge difference between what people are actually incapable of doing and what they simply won't do, even though they're perfectly able. Understanding the difference between those two in your own life is a huge key to success, regardless of the HCG diet.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Look, I know, I get it. I hated needles. Still do, in fact. But I was willing to overcome that fear in order to get that life-threatening fat and inches off. What was my secret to being able to override my fear of needles? I had a vision for myself, a goal. I knew what I wanted, and I committed myself to the entire 6-week journey. Hey, it's only 43 days. You can survive anything for that long. And I willed myself to overcome my fear of needles. But how do you do that? Well, simple as that. You need a big enough why. I had to. See, it all depends on how important that goal or that outcome is to you. Me, I was under the threat of several life-threatening obesity-related diseases. Plus, my doctor was starting to prescribe medications for high blood pressure, and since I was pre-diabetic, for diabetes. And for me, I never wanted to be that guy. You know, the helpless, pill-popping, aging male who's on a bunch of prescription meds just because he can't manage his own weight. Really? Was that necessary? And to put the medical cherry on top, my doctor wanted me to seriously consider gastric bypass or at least lap band surgery. He'd never heard of the HCG diet. He thought getting cut open was my next step. But talk about dogpiling all your fears on top of you in one shot. Wow! I mean, popping prescription meds, getting sliced open to make my stomach smaller. That was a huge fear twofer for me right there. By that point, using a needle to give myself a shot didn't seem like such a big deal, right? So shots are the best way to take your HCG because all the hormone gets into your system, period. Now, second best are the new HCG troches for pretty much the same reason as the shots. The solid form of the troches won't allow the HCG to spill out from under the sides of your tongue the way it does with HCG drops. Now, troches work almost as good as shots because they up the dosage on the troches a little bit to compensate for not all of the HCG getting absorbed, making it as close to having a shot without having a shot as possible. Yeah, that makes sense. The third and least effective way to take HCG is the infamous HCG drops. Pharmaceutical, never homeopathic. This is the hardest way to get the most HCG into your system, and ironically, it's the most popular way. Baffling. See, you got to get all the HCG into your system, and with drops, it's virtually impossible to keep, because you got to get, what am I looking for here? You want to make sure it all stays under the tongue and not leak out into the other areas of your mouth that don't absorb as much, which is virtually impossible. Or losing several days worth of HCG because you didn't mix it right and you didn't take the right amount of drops. Even more impossible. But the main reason drops are the least effective is because of human error with those silly sublingual mixing kits. Why? Well, simply this. We're all human, and this is where most goof up their entire HCG diet journey, despite the best instructions in the world. I mean, not for nothing. There's a whole culture on YouTube devoted to mixing your HCG. You've seen them, yeah? Oh boy. Those YouTube videos are just as confusing because they're all shot badly with cheap webcams, spooky, scary person sitting way too close to the camera, no close-ups on the actual mixing so you can't see the calibrations on the needle, and nails on the chalkboard audio quality. You know what I'm talking about, right? I mean, oftentimes with the scary, spooky person and the bad lighting, it's straight out of that movie with that kid. Remember the kid who saw dead people?
I see dead people.
Yeah, that one. I'm telling you, we have the best step-by-step mixing directions and the easiest to follow video, and folks still manage to goof it up. And the worst part of this whole mix-it-yourself thing, you'll never know you goofed up the mixing until it's too late. By then, you're weeks into your HCG journey, and you're not losing, and you're hungry, and you're cranky, and you're anxious, and now you don't have enough HCG to last around. By that time, you've lost anywhere from valuable days to maybe even weeks, depending on how quickly you caught the mistake. That's time you could have spent shedding fat in inches. Remember, the HCG diet's just a 6-week sprint. You don't have a lot of time. So if you're going to use the HCG drops, if you must, if you insist, despite the fact there are 2 better, more effective ways of taking your HCG and getting all of it into your system, then at the end, down the show notes, I'll tell you who I found that has the easiest and most effective way to take the HCG drops. That way you can bypass getting enough bottles and vials to stock a high school chemistry lab from those overseas pharmacies. So there you have it. My patented no BS straight truth about this whole HCG shots versus drops debate, backed by meticulous research of the top U.S. pharmacies, plus the experiences and research of Team HCG9. And anyone selling both on their site, that's a sure sign they're just in it to make money, and they could give a rat's ass about how it affects your health. So keep it in mind. See you next week.